The ultimate gray man is a woman. You cannot rely on 21st century gender roles in a world without rule of law that's going to better resemble the Wild West in the 1800s. Let's talk about it. Alright, so we often talk about the concept of gray man crypsis in a crap hits the you-know-what scenario. And we do this because it's a given that if you can remain unnoticed, and if you can basically blend into your surroundings, if you cannot be seen, you cannot be remembered, and not necessarily not be seen, but if people's eyes just roll off of you and you blend in to the environment, you don't have anything about you that is a deviation from the socio-cultural baseline of the place that you're in, that is the gray man. Now, there's a different set of rules that govern gray man camouflage for women. Full Spectrum Survival did a video about why it's important for women to, be less feminine in a crap hits the fan scenario, because you don't want to not only draw attention to yourself, but you also don't want to conjure up any sort of primal drives and impulses of the opposite sex, who may be opportunistic, starve for attention, or just downright predatory. So he makes the point in that video that women should be as tomboy looking as possible. Now, on the one hand, that has its advantages, of course, in that many men won't be interested in you sexually. But then as a downside, however, women also lose one of their special powers. And I do say powers, because in the absence of technology, which in many ways is the great equalizer of the sexes, of course we go back to more gender-specific rules of doing things. And what's the oldest profession? Well, we all know what the oldest profession is. One of women's fundamental strengths has been throughout history is their beauty, their appearance. Now, obviously, this doesn't mean that's all they have to offer, but that is certainly something that they can use to their advantage, and they most certainly will, as they use it to their advantage today. It's called gold digging. Now,
too many Nevadans are forced to work a second job, and retirees going back to work just to pay their bills. I used to work 10-hour shifts in a place just like this.
The ultimate will, as they use it to their advantage today. It's called gold digging. Now, you really can't fault women trying to leverage their beauty and play on the primal impulses of men in a shit hits the fan scenario to increase their status, because most women are significantly less stronger than men and lack the capability to physically defend themselves if an altercation arose. So they play on the Achilles heel of white knights everywhere by using their beauty, feigning innocence, the damsel in distress, in order to get what they want, and essentially in order to survive, to get a man to protect them. Now, I probably triggered the one feminist that watches the channel, but it's just what it is. Sure, there's going to be the odd-hearted matriarch out there shielding her beta husband from the uncertainties of the world, but that's going to be a very rare situation. This is their survival gift. This is their gift, is their ability to manipulate men with their appearance and to play on men's archetypal drive to be the hero and the protector, the patriarchal father figure, the savior of the damsel in distress. And just remember, guys, if you have no commitments with women, like you have no children, if shit hits the fan and you're not holding it down and you can't provide her with security and resources, she's going to find somebody who will. And I'm not talking about the trivial reasons why women leave men today. I'm talking about survival instinct. Once that survival instinct kicks in and she realizes that it's do or die, she's going to surround herself with somebody who can protect her and provide her with what she needs to get by, regardless of what she might have to give up for it. And if that means selling you out, well, that engagement ring ain't going to mean a damn thing. And at the end of the day, you can't really blame her, because In survival, when it comes down to the wire, cultural niceties and most ethics, for that matter, go out the window, whether you agree with it or not. Now, many women, like the primitive women of today, are going to go back to a more primal way of seeking out partners, which is basically going to the most alpha of the alpha males they can find who can protect them, even if it means giving up some of their sexual sovereignty. Many, however, who are more cunning and conniving may use their beauty to go above and beyond merely surviving and actually use it in order to infiltrate various groups for the purpose of espionage and manipulate men into doing things. Comes to mind is the Shakespearean Lady Macbeth example, where she convinces Macbeth to kill the king so that he can take the throne, so she can, of course, be the queen. And of course, it ends up in disaster. Now, that's obviously just a fiction, but there's numerous female assassins throughout history who gained their strength by being underestimated, by appearing harmless, by playing on the cultural sensitivities to the whole women and children first type thing, playing on the white knights, playing on the idea that, you're more likely to be helped if you're a female, so you can be a Trojan horse of sorts. You can get much closer to power. In fact, you could probably get quite intimate with power for those women who are really committed to the task, if you know what I mean. They're just going to be far more trusted than men. Men are going to not only underestimate them, but like I say, if they feign innocence and they pretend to be stupid and, they pretend to just be the domesticated, docile little housewife, when all the while they have the intention to slit Lord Humongous' throat in the middle of the night, women can prove to be absolutely fatal. And we all know that women have a increased ability to be more socially aware. See, men, we kind of have tunnel vision. We occasionally will be able to pick up on a con that's trying to be put over us. But on the whole, we're focused on doing things, getting things done. Not saying that women aren't. Women are just far more conditioned, even today, even though technology has equalized a lot of things. Women are just more predisposed to sitting around and talking about the mannerisms, the idiosyncrasies of people, particularly of men. Women have evolved to understand the idiosyncrasies of temperamental men. Thousands and thousands of years ago, when Buddy comes home to the cave and, the woman has to pick up on all these signals, because she doesn't want to get beaten with a club or whatever because Buddy wasn't able to hunt that day. She's got to be able to really read her man. And that's what women are good at, reading men. Men, not so much reading women. And as such, women are going to be able to use a lot of deceit if they want to. And they will be conscripted by groups to be used as bait, to bait men in a variety of different situations, to play on the white knight hero complex. We want to save the damsel in distress. That is going to be used against you. Now, I'm not saying that every woman who comes to you and asks for help in a shit hits the fan scenario, you're going to need to raise an eyebrow to necessarily. This is just something to be mindful of, that everybody should be treated as an equal threat in a crap hits the fan scenario, especially if that's somebody you're going to be sharing a bed with who you don't have children with. Because if you have children with them, then there's a biological aspect of trust. But even that is not necessarily going to hold through thick and thin. Women are going to make great moles and informants. Now, that said, they're probably, if used for that purpose, women who do sign up for that, who are forced into that role, are going to probably suffer some abuse before they're able to actually make their mark. Depending on the nature of the group, if they're scouting, Another way that women are crafty at being manipulative, and all of these things pertain to men too, I should say, but generally speaking, this is more of a survival endowment that women have been gifted. Because as men, like I said, we have our physical and our patriarchal status, which is a thing for the most part, or was for many thousands of years, that never created the need for us to learn all the schemes and play all the games that women are more adept at doing. Women who are really good at this will be very subtle about it, so it doesn't appear as though that's what they're doing. Sometimes they will say more overt things that go right to the core of our manhood. And of course, because everything is all about our primal drives, if you can insult a man's manhood, you can get him to do a lot of things. They can fly really low under the radar, and they can do things, and then they can manipulate the men into thinking that the things that they did, some other guy did. We've had, since the dawn of industrialization, new gender norms emerge. But in a downgraded society with less layers of cultural expectations around the issue of gender roles, it's going to take many people time to readapt to that world. You're going to have many men playing by 21st century dating and gender roles in a world that's going to more so resemble a medieval cyberpunk level of technology that has some rudimentary aspects of 21st century technology, but the general infrastructure would be that of a much older time. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Have I gone too far here, or have I gone far enough? I'm thinking of consulting the panel of 7 that I interviewed. 7 very excellent female YouTubers. I'm going to post the link in the description. And that was a pretty G-rated talk that we had, where I asked them all various questions. But maybe it's time we took it to the level of PG-13 in terms of the questions that we ask regarding gender roles. And as a final thought, I think one of the positives that might come out of a scenario like this is the return of more chivalrous practices by men. So I welcome the comments of my female subscribers, which are somewhere between 5 and 10%. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching Canadian Prepper Out.
Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all honor, glory, and praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Yakah, Hadash. Level honors and respect to the elders and to the apostles of the great millstone. Peace and blessing to all Akim that are preaching and teaching this word with 100% truth and sincerity. And unto the men, women, and children that are listening and learning. And unto the Bayat Davadah, the elect house of David that is scattered abroad, I give you my utmost and sincere salutations. Alright, this is a video from Canadian Prepper. It's called A Warning About Females in SHTF. This video was over 5 years ago, but nonetheless it's still edifying even unto this day, because it tells you how people are going to be during a shit hit the fan scenario, especially women. And like he said, women have that ability of being, very manipulative, knowing how to read a man and this and that. And women have, they have those special qualities to where they can turn the odds in their favor and make men do what they want them to do. That all depends if the man is really weak-willed or he's just thinking with the wrong head. But here we go. And this is going to be the book of First Esdras. It's going to be chapter 4, starting at verse 13. And this is with Zerubbabel, and those this was during the time when Zerubbabel was giving a wise saying to the king of the Persians, Darius, at the time. Whoever out of these three men, there were 2 others that were talking about wine is the strongest, kings are the strongest, and women are the strongest. and Zerubbabel chose the woman, and we're going to read about it, but this does not mean that women are superior to men, but it just goes to show what, you know, women are capable of, you know, in certain scenarios, certain situations, but nonetheless, hopefully this will be edifying. So as we read, I'll explain, and Lord willing, that, you know, you get a better understanding. So this is the book of 1 Esdras, chapter 4, verse 13. It says, "Then the third, who had spoken of women and of the truth, this was Zerubbabel, began to speak." Okay, so ultimately, if you read this chapter, he, you know, his saying was chosen to be the wisest, and then he was to sit, you know, to be in the court of King Darius of the Persians. He was to sit and be his cousin, or called to be his cousin, because his saying was the wisest. But here we go. This is 1 Esdras chapter 4, verse 13 again. It says, "Then the third, who had spoken of women and of the truth, this was Zerubbabel, began to speak." Verse 14 says, "O ye men, it is not the great king, nor the multitude of men, neither is it wine that excelleth. Who is it then that ruleth them, or hath the lordship over them? Are they not women?" Verse 15, "Women have borne the king and all the people that bear rule by sea and land." Verse 16, even of the same day, and they nourished them up that planted the vineyards, from whence the wine cometh. Okay, so basically, men impregnate women, women give birth to children, they raise the kids and they teach them. Okay, that's that wine that, you know, the wine time, what they're being taught. Okay, so yeah, women are, you could look at like, for example, in nature, the lioness, she raises her cubs, she teaches them how to survive until they reach a certain age. Then, it's like, okay, you know what to do. I taught you everything that you need to know. Right? Now going back, verse 17. "These also make garments for men. These bring glory unto men. And without women cannot men be." Because, women are the glory of their husbands. Okay? And they make garments for men. They knit clothing and all that. And your women's conduct speaks well of how you have charge in your own household. Verse 18. "Yea, and if men have gathered together gold and silver, or any other goodly thing, do they not love a woman which is comely in favor and beauty?" Verse 19. "And letting all those things go, do they not gape, and even with open mouth fix their eyes fast on her? And have not all men more desire unto her than unto silver or gold, or any goodly thing whatsoever?" So basically, if you look at a woman that's just, absolutely stunning, very attractive, just has those guys turning their heads and their mouths agape like hearts in their eyes, that's what that's talking about, just more appealing to the eye than gold and silver. Verse 20, "A man leaveth his own father that brought him up, and his own country, and cleaveth unto his wife." Verse 21, he sticks not to spend his life with his wife, and remembereth neither father nor mother nor country. Verse 22, "By this also you must know that women have dominion over you. Do you not labor and toil and give and bring all to the women?" So basically, when a man is grown, he leaveth his folks and cleaves unto his wife, because, even though your family is your next of kin, but as soon as you have a wife and you and your wife, do the deed, and you have kids of your own, then all of a sudden that becomes your immediate family, your next of kin, and now it says in verse 22, "Do you not labor and toil and give and bring all to the women?" So, men, basically saying, men are the providers. They are the protectors. Okay? And that's what men are. That's our role. We are providers and protectors. We protect our assets, and that, and the scriptures do say that a woman is a possession. She's a man's possession, property. So she's part of our assets that we protect and provide for. Verse 23. Yea, a man taketh his sword, and goeth his way to rob, and to steal, and to sail upon the sea, and upon rivers. 24. And looketh upon a lion, and goeth in the darkness, and when he hath stolen, spoiled, and robbed, he bringeth it to his love. Okay? So, again, a man will be doing whatever it takes to, to protect someone that he loves, his woman, okay? To make sure that she's taken care of, to make sure she's going to be okay. Verse 25, wherefore a man loveth his wife better than father and mother. Like I said, when a man leaves his parents to cleave unto a woman that becomes his wife, she becomes his his priority. And don't get it wrong, even if a man leaves his family, his folks, his parents, they're still a priority too. You gotta make sure they're taken care of, but most importantly, when he finds himself a woman, that woman becomes part of his priority. All right. Let's look. Verse 26. Yea, many there be that have run out of their wits for women, and have become servants for their sakes. As I said in verse 27, many also have perished and have erred and sinned for women. So there you go, man. A lot of men, they lost their mind, ran out of their wits. You remember, like Canadian Prepper here said, a lot of women are master manipulators, and they're masters of seduction, and they know how men operate. They study men. They watch men, they study them and all that. So they know how men react to certain things, and what men are going to, by insulting a man's manhood, you can get him to do certain things, make him feel low about himself, insecure, all that. So, and a lot of men have, let themselves be manipulated and controlled by women. Verse 28. And it says, verse 20, and now do ye not believe me? Is not the king great in his power? Do not all regions fear to touch him? Verse 29, yet did I see him and Apame, the king's concubine, the daughter of the admirable Bardachus, sitting at the right hand of the king. Verse 30, and taking the crown from the king's head and setting it upon her own head, she also struck the king with her left hand. Verse 31, and yet for all this the king gaped and gazed upon her with open mouth. If she laughed upon him, he laughed also, but if she took any displeasure at him, the king was fain to flatter, that she might be reconciled to him again. So basically, think about it this way. If a man were to take another man's position, that's a sign of ultimate disrespect, right? Like, who would have, especially from a king, like, what man would have the guts to try and take the crown or the position from the king and not have some sort of dire consequence for it? Like, who would actually have the guts to do that? Now, when it comes to a woman, like it says, he gazed, let me read that again. Verse 30 says, and taking the crown from the king's head and setting it upon her own head, she also struck the king with her left hand. And yet in verse 31, and yet for all this, the king gaped and gazed upon her with open mouth. If she laughed upon him, he laughed also. Okay, so basically, when it comes to that type of disrespect, or a woman, that's another thing too, is that a lot of men, they go easy on women. Like he said, the whole white knight thing, they go easy on them. They're soft. They're not particularly rough with them or anything, and they let them get away with certain things. And it says here, but if she took any displeasure at him, the king was fain to flatter. So if a woman got angry with him or displeased, he would try to flatter her so that she can get that, so that he can be back on her good side. You know that saying of happy wife, happy life, that type of thing. So, yeah, you know, and this is how Zerubbabel won. You know, his saying was the wisest. He made his point, and that's when Darius chose his saying as the wisest, and you know, he called him his cousin. He was able to set up the court with him. You know, and you know, don't get this twisted. This doesn't mean that women are superior to men. It just means that women have their strengths. You know, do they have their certain things that they could use against men? You know, in fact, let me get the scripture. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 31, verse 3, and it says, "Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings." Okay? Women have the power to destroy kings, to destroy men. They have that power. And in a shit hit the fan scenario, man, if we are those kings of old, you know, if we are the elect, we're not going to allow any of these women to try any of their manipulative tactics. Okay? In fact, let me get the book of Isaiah, chapter 4, verse 1. And this is what is going to soon come. And it says, Isaiah 4:1, "And in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, We will eat our own bread, wear our own apparel, only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach." So in that day, man, you know, women are going to be scared shitless. And like he said, you know, when the survival instinct kicks in, you know, women are either going to, you know, they're going to do what they got to do, you know, whether they sell you out or they're just using you for the occasion to get to where they want to be or need to be. And some other men, they'll use women as bait. They'll bait you into a trap, and next thing you know, you're caught, and then you're fucked. So, you know, yes, these women are going to cling, you know, if we're of the elect, the Lord will give us that supernatural ability to discern whether a woman is truly genuine and that she's willing to humble herself and submit herself unto you and follow your lead, versus a woman that's just looking for an opportunity for her own benefit. Those type of women that the Lord's going to put the Spirit on to reject and toss them back into the urban jungle. Okay? Women are going to be desperate in that day to look for a man, especially a man of the Lord. Okay? That's when I'm going to go to the book of Ecclesiasticus, Sirach, chapter 25, verse 19. And it says, "All wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman. Let the portion of a sinner fall upon her." So, these women, like I said, when they get desperate, they're going to try anything and everything to survive, to stay alive. Alright? This can be 2nd Esdras. 2nd Esdras chapter 16, starting at verse 33. It says, "The virgins shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. The women shall mourn, having no husbands. The daughters shall mourn, having no helpers." Verse 34, "In the war shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish with famine." So, there's not going to be that many available men. A lot of these women are going to be on their own. Okay, especially the so-called black woman, Latina woman, and Native American woman, the Israelite woman. Because in this society, the Israelite woman, whether she's so-called Negro, Hispanic, or Native American, or Seminole Indian, they have absolutely no respect for the Israelite man. So a lot of you Israelite women are going to suffer. And you're going to be begging for someone to help you. But the Lord's not going to answer your plea. Okay? in this the book of Isaiah, chapter 13. Isaiah chapter 13, verse 12. It says, I will make them. And I'm going to start at verse 11. And it says, and I will punish the world for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and I will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. Verse 12. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. So, an Israelite man, especially a servant of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, is going to be more precious than fine gold, even more so than the golden wedge of Ophir. Once these women, these people see who the men of the Lord are, they're going to be flocking to us like how like moths to a flame, man. Like they're just going to be, once they see that we have that power, man, Lord willing that we are the elect, those elect men, you know, they're these women are going to come running. They're going to be looking at that one ordinary man that's been keeping them alive for so long until they find out just how useless he is in comparison to us. You know, they're going to be like, you know, like I said, you know, a woman will leave a man. Even Canadian Prepper here just said it. She said, you know, for, you know, aside from the most trivial reason why women would leave men, you know, it's about that survival. Like, they're going to be looking at the next guy who is more superior to the man that she's currently with, and if he shows that he has more to offer than the guy that she's with, she's going to jump ship and go with him. So, you know, so the men of the Lord, you know, the ones that are going to have that, the ones that the Lord's going to lift their standard up in and give that spiritual power, those are the men that the women are going to be flocking to the most. You know, but don't believe every head wrap, because some of these women, like I said, they got their own. Some of them have their own agenda, versus the ones that are willing to humble themselves and submit and follow your lead. Okay, so yeah, this is just a quick lesson on that to the Spirit. Lord willing, I was edifying. And in closing, I'd like to give all honor, glory, and praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Makah, Wadash. Double honors and respect to the elders and to the apostles of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing to all Akim that are preaching and teaching this word with 100% truth and sincerity. And unto the men, women, and children that are listening and learning. And unto the Bayat, the Davadah, the elect house of David that is scattered abroad. I give you my utmost and sincere salutations. See you in the next lesson, Lord willing. Kwam Yasharallah, Wa Abad Babal, Shalom, Barakatah.